of course. I'm hoping this is a good live. This works out. I mean, honestly, I don't know how this works out. If you've been to my channel and you've seen my videos, seen my lives, I made a resolution that at least once a week for the entire year, for every week, I would basically stream at least live once that week. Today just happens to be that week as well too. Tomorrow the Giants are playing against the Seahawks. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And also, sorry, I should say that usually when I stream live, I just rant about whatever is going on at that moment in time, and I don't keep it on one topic. Though I think I should one of these days just keep it on one topic. Sometimes I do keep it on one topic, and sometimes I don't. But in this case, I am, or not. I'm not. I just go off in tangents with whatever topics I'm want to rant about. So today, of course, is more of a case where it's week 4 of the NFL season. I mean, the Giants are playing the Seahawks tomorrow. The rest of the game was interesting. I mean, let's be honest. The Jets are playing the Kansas City Chiefs today. Or they are playing them right now. I should stream while talking about it, but last time I did that, I got banned. So I'm not going to do that again. I learned my lesson, quite honestly. But I mean, honestly, it's going to be a joke for the as a Jets fan. If you're a Jets fan, that is. I'm not a Jets fan. I'm a Giants fan, of course. But let's be honest. I mean, the Jets are going to lose badly. I mean, it's a question of how much they're going to lose by. Hell, if they can keep the Chiefs to 20 points, that'll be impressive because that's pretty much their defense at that point, quite honestly, more than anything else. But outside of that, I'm just saying that this case, the Giants have to win this game. It's a must-win for them. If they don't win, it's going to be a sad state of affairs for the Giants. And everyone's wondering, whoa, why is everyone, ragging on Daniel Jones? Here's the thing. The reason why everyone's going at him, basically, and granted, I applaud Daniel Jones for not falling into the trap and responding to all this stuff like other players would. But let's be blunt. Was this guy worth the number 6 pick in the first round? Is he worth that kind of pick? No, it's not. If anything, he's probably a 3rd round pick more than anything else. Maybe a 4th round at worst. No, actually, 3rd round at best. Sorry, I should say 3rd round at best more than anything else. Honestly, he was probably a 5th or 6th rounder that you should just picked up on. No one was going to pick him. I think it's more of a case where the fact is after last season, $40 million a year, is this guy worth it? I think that's the reason why, that's another reason why you're going to sort of attack him a little bit. It's he's worth $40 million and the Giants offense is doing, it's staggeringly the lowest there is. I mean, yeah, they came back for the Cardinals, but that was probably by luck because the Cardinals were just shell-shocked with certain things. And that's probably mostly Dable more than anything else. Let's be honest. That was mostly Dable basically handling the coaching part of the things because outside of that, there was not much that was going to happen. Now, for those that are watching early in the year, early in today with the Jaguars and Falcons, I mean, it was going to happen that the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to win. Denver beating the Broncos. Denver beating out the Bears. That was a little bit of a surprise. The way the Denver lost to Miami, I didn't think they were going to win this game. I thought that was it. I thought that was just going to defeat them to the point where they were just not going to do anything at that point. And then, of course, Washington is a complete surprise, quite honestly. Washington is definitely a surprise. I mean, look, they put the Philadelphia Eagles into overtime. That is by far impressive enough to the point where, Washington is a team to watch out for, I think. They're a team to watch out for. The NFC East with the Eagles, Cowboys, and Commanders are the 3 teams to watch outside of the 49ers, of course. Houston being the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I hate to say this, but this is going to be another draft year for the Steelers. If the Steelers, I hate to say it, but tank the season, build up a quarterback because you have no quarterback, you might as well really build it up. Baltimore beating out Cleveland 28-3, that was already a given. Minnesota beating the Panthers, it was a give and take, but it was going to happen with the Vikings. They were going to win. Tampa Bay beating out the Saints. Now, that's a little misleading. The Saints aren't doing so great, honestly. I mean, their record's a little misleading as well too. Let's be honest, their record's a little misleading. But the Saints are not that great, so the Buccaneers beating him out is not that thing. But honestly, it's Baker Mayfield. Has he found his second wind now with the Tampa Bay Bucks? It's hard to say. Let's see what happens. Honestly, this is the thing. I think the Jets should have made a play for Baker Mayfield when he was, available to trade for. They probably should have traded for like a fifth-round draft pick for Baker Mayfield when they had the shot with the Carolina Panthers. Because honestly, he's definitely better than Zach Wilson. Let's put it that way. He's definitely better than Zach Wilson. Buffalo beating out Miami. That was a gimme. I mean, I don't want to say that's not a gimme. That's not a gimme. That one was a little bit of a surprise, honestly. I didn't think that was going to be that much of a blowout, quite honestly. But I mean, Miami is a team to watch out for. So let's be honest. They're a team to watch out. We'll see what happens there. Rams being the Colts. I mean, that was a surprise as well too that it went to overtime. Tennessee beating out the Bengals. Again, the Bengals always start out slow. It seems Burrows, for whatever reason, starts out slow, and him and Chase seem to never disconnect properly. But as the season goes on, they connect and they start winning games and so forth. And then the Chargers beating the Raiders. That was a close game. I'll admit, I was watching that game. That was a close one. I thought for sure the Raiders could have came back. Now, if Garoppolo was not in the concussion protocol, it might be a different story. I think that the Raiders probably could have won this game, honestly. Then the Cowboys and Patriots. I think that was going to be happen. I think that was going to be a win, no matter what. The question is I didn't think it was going to be a 35-point win, but it was still a win. And then, of course, the 49ers and Cardinals, that was going to happen no matter what. So I'm not so surprised about that, quite honestly. Now, the one thing I do have to talk about that's a little bit different, or side note a little bit, is, of course, to the Jets themselves. What do they do about a quarterback? Zach Wilson, unless he proves otherwise in this game, I think that's the end of him. I think at the end of the season, he's pretty much going to be dropped, and that's it for him, unfortunately. That's a sad state of affairs, but that's football, basically. Now, shifting away from football a little bit, back to basketball, as I was talking about yesterday when I talked about the Damian Lillard trade and Drew Holiday going to Portland. It's opening up a lot of possibilities now for a lot of teams, specifically Boston, specifically for the Knicks, even the Clippers. Drew Holiday is a good player. He's not your he's definitely a Hall of Famer. He's not an superstar, but he's at that all-star level where he could help out any team. The Knicks, couple of draft picks they could trade off for Drew Holiday if they can, without surrendering Barrett. It's a possibility because, look, put it this way. The Trailblazers are in a rebuilding mode. They're in a rebuilding mode. And we already saw that. So they want to build up some draft capital at this point as well too. So to build out their team again. They have Drew Holiday. If they can trade Drew Holiday for a couple of draft picks, it works out perfectly for them. Because, look at it this way. The Portland Trailblazers did not want to trade Damian Lillard to a team in the Western Conference that's going to be a contender for them down the line. I think that's why it made sense for them to make a trade to the Bucks. It made absolute sense for them to make it for the Bucks and to keep in Drew Holiday, because now they could use Drew Holiday for some serious draft picks at this point as well. Because a lot of teams want Drew Holiday. The Bucks were not going to trade Drew Holiday to anyone on the East as contenders. Miami could come into play as well too. I mean, I know Pat Riley's salivating to try and get him. Tibbs from the Knicks, salivating. He wants him because Holiday is that good of a defensive player that he fits perfectly into the system. Similarly with the Boston Celtics. I mean, they lost Smart for Porzingis. They need someone now. They need someone else outside of Brown and Tatum. Drew Holiday fits perfectly with them as well too. Similarly with the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Drew Holiday, that changes everything dramatically for them at that point as well too, quite honestly, more than anything else. I don't think he's going to go to the Mavericks because you already got Luka and Kyrie Irving, so Luka and Kyrie is going to be stuck. If anything, the Dallas Mavericks are probably going to look for a forward or center more than anyone else. Again, I think Miami, he would be a good fit for them as well too. Drew Holiday would be a good fit for the Miami Heat, but ideally as the Knicks fan, I would love to see Drew Holiday come to the Knicks. I would love to see him come to the Knicks. Why? Because if all they have to do is surrender some of their protected first-round draft picks, and they could get him, perfect. I mean, that would change the dynamics of everything. And I mean, let's be honest. Tibbs, as good of the coach he is, some of the plays, he's not getting the best out of his players. I think it's because of his system. Some of these players don't fit into the system, but Drew Holiday definitely fits into his system. He's a great defensive player, just like Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler fit perfectly with Tibbs' system. So if you get him in play at that point, Drew Holiday in there, I think he becomes what Jimmy Butler was with the Chicago Bulls, basically. When Tibbs was at Chicago Bulls, he got the best out of Jimmy Butler. And Butler, remember, wasn't that high of a draft pick, but he was good. And now it's showing how good of a superstar he is. I think if he comes to Tibbs, he gets to that next level of being the all-star, like that top-tier all-star, not a superstar level, but the top-tier all-star, maybe the lowest end tier of superstardom, basically. But I think if he was able to come to the next, Tibbs can get to him that level. Barrett, unfortunately, will be collateral damage as a result of it. But I think we still need to keep Barrett, quite honestly. RJ Barrett, we still need to keep him. Why? Because he's not going to be a three-point player, but more often than not, he's still the guy that can still, if he has the ability to drive and slash into and get to the boards, I think that's the person you want, basically. But reality, you're probably going to use him for draft capital for next year at that point as well, too. You're going to use him to trade for some veteran players or another superstar, basically, more than anyone else. But outside of that, I'll leave it at that. So again, we talked about the Giants, Daniel Jones, why, all the stuff that's going down with them basically is because the fact is like, look, was he worth the number 6 picks in the first round? Honestly, no. Let's be blunt. He wasn't worth it. And some of you guys might be saying, "Oh, you're just talking smack. You're a hater." Sadly, I am, because why? He's not worth it. He was not worth the 6th pick. The Giants could have picked someone much better. They could have picked someone that was more impactful for them. Daniel Jones, as we see now, no one was going to draft him in the first 3 or 4 rounds. This guy was probably at best a 3rd round pick, but more unlikely than not, it could have been picked up in the 5th or 6th round, quite honestly, more than anything else. The Giants didn't have to, surrender that 6th pick for him. They could have picked someone much better, honestly. And the other factor is is he worth $40 million a year? It's showing otherwise that he's not worth $40 million. The Giants made a mistake, I think, and it's one of those things where I don't know what they're seeing. It's like they see something in him that I'm not sure of, but Dable has the ability to look at, the qualities of a player, specifically on quarterbacks. Like, he knew what Josh Allen was, and he got the best out of him. And now we're seeing how good Josh Allen is. If Dable can do the exact same thing with Daniel Jones, great. I'll take it all. I'm all for it. But honestly, is Daniel Jones that player that Dable can, get the best out of? I think we've already seen the best of him, basically, because honestly, without Saquon Barkley, without Saquon Barkley, I think he's no one at this point. Would Daniel Jones thrive, let's say, with the Minnesota Vikings with Jefferson on his plate, or would he thrive with the Bills, or would he thrive with in the Kansas City Chiefs? It's a possibility, but honestly, I don't think so. If he'd gone to, let's say, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, would he have done really well there? I don't think he would have. Could he thrive under the Jets? No, but the Jets wouldn't have this bad of a record, I think. I think he would have kept them in play in the playoffs, at least. Like last year, he could have kept them in the playoffs at that point as well, too. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a tough one to call out on this situation. Quite honestly, I'm not sure what to say about that. Yeah. So I'm just drinking some green tea. I should be watching Sunday night game, but I already know the Jets are going to lose anyways. The best I can see is if Zach Wilson does really well and has some glimpses of being a good player, then yeah. But honestly, it's more of the Jets defense to see where they can, how much they can contain Mahomes. If they can contain Mahomes, then it shows that next year is the year for the Jets. The question is, can Rodgers come back and help him out in the long term? We'll find out. Yeah, with that, I'll leave it at that, because I try not to live stream more than 15 to 20 minutes. I try to keep it as short as possible, but more often than not, I do stream up to 20 minutes. If I stream longer than that, that's because I'm probably somewhere and at an event or probably whatever it is, or watching the game, and I'm streaming there. But outside of that, I'll leave it at that. Please, again, leave your comments in the comment section. I do read all my comments when I get notified, of course, and I do respond to my comments when they warrant a response. And if you love my channel, like my videos, like my content, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you have subscribed. I thank you for that. And also at the same time, if you like this video, please like it. If you don't like it, dislike it. You're welcome to. I welcome feedback. I need feedback to determine if I should be focused on certain contents. Of course, in this situation, when I'm doing live streams, I'll just live stream about anything and everything basically at that point. The one thing you won't see, it's going to be very rare, unless it's like too good of a thing to not pass up on, is like politics. I won't stream about politics, quite honestly. I mean, honestly, with what's going on right now, it's going to be November. Let's see what happens with the Trump host fiasco thing. Let's see what happens with there too. Quite honestly, let's be honest. I mean, I understand why some people like Trump, because the fact is he's not your norm politician. You want not your career politicians running and, falling into the same traps that others are. But at the same time, like when they come in, usually when you have a politician, person comes in, they try to go away and steer away from all this stuff. But in reality, once you're there, you have to deal with all this bureaucracy. Unfortunately, it's politics. You have to play politics. Unfortunately, you can't drain the swamp. I mean, he could try, but it was never going to happen. Honestly, any outsider that comes into it, it's not going to happen. The only way this happens is if he comes in, like if you get a president that's a non-politician, and a lot of senators that are non-politicians, as well as a lot of congressmen and congresspersons that are non-senators, then yeah. Well, with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, unrehearsed.